All right, welcome back, everybody. What, grade 7, Laura, what are we doing? Okay. Let's get my anti-ink gloves on. Cause I mark myself up fucking all the time. That's gonna work. Fucking scrub. All right. Feel like I should have another pen in my pocket, but I don't. So I must throw it away. So math 335, we're looking at day 7. And we are gonna prep for 9.1. Which is on linear equations in 2 variables.
As far as Alex is concerned, I'm into some of these. It's setting me off on some of these other topics.
Yeah, because the R6, R7, 9.1 homeworks all together. So you're not gonna be able to do the 9.1 part of that assignment.
Oh, it's been setting up the chain and having me do more of that stuff.
Ah, well, that's good.
I was gonna say, I'm like, it's really weird because I'm kind of spread out. I was like, crap.
Well, it will guide you where in the correct it's designed to have a sequence in mind and won't do to have you do anything that you haven't done. Shown prerequisite knowledge for. And 9.2 will be on functions. There really isn't a lot of prep we can do with that, but there is a lot of prep we can do for linear equations and in 2 variables. So what is a linear equation in 2 variables? The standard form. Is ax plus by equals c. The slope intercept form. That looks terrible. That didn't make it better. Oh well, fuck it. We're running with it. Is y equals mx plus b. And then we have, I wanted to do a different color. Let's change it so it looks different. And we have the point slope form. And this is y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. These are all different forms of the same equation. Let's look at how they graph. But I'm gonna let you guys finish writing this.
Question.
Yeah.
The slope intercept form is the one we often use.
It's one of the easiest ones to graph. And it has some very handy fucking information in it. For pretty much any subject.
Yeah, that's
Standard form is the shit show. It's not fucking really good for anything.
but point slope form is kind of good for intercepts, right?
Point slope form is often a way to start. When you have information but not the equation to get it to y or the slope intercept. Because here all I gotta do is add y1 over. And when you clean this up, this is y on the left on both of them, so these two are gonna be identical. Notice if I distribute, I have m times x. So I've got the mx in both. So the b here is going to be the equivalent of net, b's got to be the same thing as y1 after we add it over minus m times x1. But that's not worth memorizing. Don't memorize that. I'm just showing that there is a, don't memorize this part. Because you would just solve it. If you've got it here anyways, you're just gonna fucking solve it. All right, let's take a look at how they go. We're gonna take a look at, let's do, x plus 2y equals, 6. So it's important in the part that we're gonna definitely do this graphing thing in the main lecture anyways. The important part that I would say is for support is understanding what the graph looks like and does. So oftentimes you'll do this with graph paper, but if you don't have graph paper, try to just draw some lines equally distant apart as you're numbering. I tend to make every fifth one longer because it's easier to count by 5s. And I can always find quickly, like between 1 and 5, locate where 4 is and stuff pretty easy. So the horizontal axis, these black lines are called axes. The horizontal axis is the x-axis. And along the x-axis, we have the property y equals 0. On the right side, x is positive. On the left side, x is negative. And for y, this other axis is going to be the y-axis. Y is positive going up and negative going down. So the vertical axis is the y-axis. And it has the property x equals 0. Anywhere on that line, x equals 0. The spot where they meet is called the origin. And it has a coordinate or an ordered pair called 0 or 0, 0, where we put the x component and then the y component. This is called an ordered pair or coordinate. He already responded, Davis.
Oh, yeah.
He gave a website. He's in the local, like the TCC or Tulare. I guess TCC is probably Tulare County. But there's national organizations. He's got websites for both. And they all show launch dates and locations. He said he's got a launch. The next one he's going to is in May. It's a 3-day event, and he's going to launch a 4-inch diameter, 8.5 foot rocket to about 17,000 feet. So they're not fucking around. We're not talking
8.5 meter rocket.
foot.
12 foot. I was like, whoa.
A meter, you know, that's like 20-some feet,
It is bearing weight at that point.
Right. but still, 8.5 rocket is taller than anybody that, most people,
No, that's so.
taller than I think anybody. I don't know that anybody that's about fucking 8.5 feet. Even the tall people like cap it like 7.5. Alright, but he's got some website information you can check out later. Alright. So we will have a line. So our equation, one way to do this, to plot x plus 2y, we're gonna cover 3 ways that are common. The first one is plot points. Common ones are -1, 0, and 1. So let's do the math over here. If I do -1, I've got -1 plus 2y equals 6. I add the 1 to both sides, I get 2y equals 7. And I get y equals 7/2, which is 3.5. That's kind of crappy. So what I did is this was x equals -1, and I replaced it for the x value in the equation. Everyone good with that? Doing x equals 0 is pretty easy. We just get 2y equals 6 because the x component is gone, and y equals 3. If I do x equals 1, I get 1 plus 2y equals 6. So 2y equals 5. And y equals 5/2, or 2.5. Now these look a little shitty to graph, so I'm gonna do -2 and 2 also. Looking at this numbers that we did grab, these 3 we grabbed right here, do you guys have any idea what -2 or +2 is gonna be without doing the equation?
4 and 2.
4 and 2, how'd you get that?
The same 0.5 away from the last point. So
It's going down 0.5 each time, right? So that makes sense, it should continue, which means it should have gone down 0.5 from there. So you gotta go up if you wanna go the other direction. You can always verify it. So that looked legit. And these really tell us how far to go left and right and how far to go up and down. So I'm gonna go left 2, -2 is in the negative direction. I'm gonna go 2, and then I go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like it might be right about there. I'm gonna skip doing the -1 because 3.5 is gonna be a little hard to graph. But 0, 3.0 is straight up, 0 is left or right 0, 3.0 up 3. And then I'm gonna do the 2. The 2 is right 2 and up 2. Now, I don't know about you, but I have a really hard time drawing a fucking straight line unless I rotate the page so that it's going straight away from me and straight towards me. So you will see me do that whenever I want to draw a straight line. Because otherwise, it's gonna look like shit. And you got enough reasons to make fun of my teaching already. I don't need to fucking fill you up with more power. I can't believe how quickly he got back. That's fucking super quick.
He must have caught a good time.
He saw the title Rocketry.
Yeah, he's like,
He saw the study. He's all fucking passionate about it.
this is your friend, right? So,
It's my former coworker's husband. And he helped with, I'll tell you about it at break.
Yeah.
Any questions? Let's look at the other ones real quick, other ways to do it. That's the third or first way, which takes no work, no effort whatsoever. Second way is slope intercept form. Which means we want to take or solve the standard form for y. That's shit. Of the standard form. So we had x plus 2y equals 6. I will subtract x from both sides. And I get 2y equals negative x plus 6. Then I'll divide by 2 everywhere. And I get y equals negative x over 2 or negative 1/2 x plus 6 divided by 2 is 3. We saw both of those things from our table of points. So this is in the form y equals mx plus b. B is called the y-intercept. It's where it intercepts, where the line intercepts or crosses the y-axis. It's a point. 0, b. Remember, everything on the y-axis has an x value of 0. So the y-intercept, usually I have it abbreviated int, is 0, b, which means here it's 0, 3. I'm gonna change that to a capital B because my lowercase b's look like fucking 6s. Get this with the red also. We saw that right here. Y-intercept. That's a good red pen. Let me put that to the side. It's got a nice sharp point. It's a new one. Carter's all nervous and shit. So fucking all methed out. He's like, I'm gonna do some math and come into class. Don't do math. All right. The M is for slope. Why? I have no idea. We usually use S for seconds with time. So S usually has its own thing. And I don't know why they didn't choose L, O, P, or E. Well, E and L, Y. E is a number in mathematics. O looks like 0. I don't know. They just went for M. It's right in the middle of the alphabet. It's unused letter, tends to be unused letter. They chose M. It is a change in Y over a change in X. The mathematical symbols for that are a triangle triangle y over triangle x. Triangle is called the delta. It's a Greek letter. And it means just that, change, delta means change in mathematics. You guys might be familiar with it as rise over run. I'm off screen. The math calculation for it is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. For us, m was -1/2. Did we see -1/2 over here on the left? Yeah. All of these illustrate our m. Another way of looking at m, which is commonly described in statistics, but is actually really fantastic for like understanding what it means. M is the amount of increase in y when we increase x by 1. And we see that here. Every time x went up 1, we went down -1/2.
So is it kind of like rise over run is like the. Like. Units almost? But almost like the description is like rise over.
It's a description of what we're gonna do with it. Yeah, we're gonna graph this, we're gonna do the same line we just did here. We're gonna graph it using our equation right here, and maybe that'll answer what you're trying to ask.
But I mean, I'm almost comparing it like. If you were in a different class, you could note it like, oh, the units of rise over units of run. So like, are you?
Well, it doesn't necessarily say units in it is the problem.
I look at it, yeah, they're not really, so I guess.
Alright, so. Does anyone still need that longer? I'm more than willing to wait. Alright. Everyone's like, I'm already fucking on TikTok. You need to fucking hurry your fuck up. So we had y equals -1/2 x plus 3. How do we go about graphing that? Wow, that is so not a fucking straight line. Fuck it, we're gonna go with it. So start with your y-intercept. Because it gives you a coordinate. It gives you a spot on the graph. So this gives us the point 0, 3. We're gonna drop a point right there. Slope being -1/2. This can be looked at as -1 over +2, or it can be looked at as 1 over -2. We're gonna look at both versions of this. I'll do this one right here. So my red points are following -1 over 2. So a rise over -1, which means down 1. And a run of 2 means right 2. So I'm gonna go down 1 and right 2, and I'm gonna put a point. And I'm gonna actually keep doing it. Down 1, right 2, put a point. Down 1, right 2, put a point. You can keep doing it. Looking at it as 1/2 means trying to go down 1/2 and over 1. And down 1/2 is really fucking hard to do by hand. Computers do it fucking perfect. So it's easier to follow, like treating these as whole number steps rather than half steps and x equals 1. My green points. Rise says it's the positive one, so it's up 1. But the run is negative, so it's left 2. So I will go left 2 and up 1. Left 2, up 1. And theoretically, if I didn't make this look like shit, I can connect the dots. Let's give it a try. Nope, I made it look like shit. That last one's off. I will adjust that. I think my gap's got a little bit wider up here. Look at that. That should probably be more like that. Get rid of that one, get rid of that one. Any questions?
Actually, like when it comes to parameters and we have curve lines. Or should
Different shit going on.
different shit.
Different equation, and we'll be doing different things with it. Different things will work. There's squares and parabolas. That's actually worth noting. Linear equations. Exponent equals 1 for all variables. So x plus 2y, they had a variable 1. So ax plus by equals c is a line in 2D. Ax plus by plus cz equals d is a line in 3D. But you're not going to be able to graph a line in 3D on paper. And we're not doing that in here, but that's in calculus 3, you will work with lines in 3D. Not until calc 3. Is ready for more? Third method, perhaps the easiest. But it doesn't always work. Plot the intercepts. So y-intercept, we've done this already. But we didn't do it with thinking y-intercept in mind. For the y-intercept, x equals 0. So we're going to do that. 0 plus 2y equals 6. 2y equals 6. Divide by 2, and I get y equals 3. X equals 0 and y equals 3 give us an ordered pair 0, 3. That's the y-intercept. X-intercept. Y equals 0. X plus 2 times 0 equals 6. So x equals 6. Put these two bad boys together and we get 6, 0, which is the x-intercept. So. See if I can make it bucket straight this time. Straight enough. Zero, 3 is right there. 6, 0 is right here. And I'm gonna rotate the page to draw it. When you do this method, you probably want to try to find a third point for verification. So do a third point for verification. And it usually helps. Verifying. Usually helps to pick a X value that's in the middle. Pick an X between the two you have. That's 6, this is 3. We're gonna do 3. 3 plus 2y equals 6. So 2y equals 3. So y equals 3 halves, which is 1.5. Does that look like 1.5? Let's see. It does. So our verification point is on the line, so we didn't fuck it up. Because it only really takes 2 points to make a line. You have 1 point to start on and another point that it goes in the direction of. But you kind of always want to do at least 3 points, because if you fuck up one of the other 2 points, you're off. But if you do 3 points, they're not going to be a line unless you fucked them all up and had some coincidental shit happen and they all ended up in a line anyways. Normally, if you miss one, you'll miss one, but not for all 3. And it'll look like a fucking triangle if you try to connect the dots. You know what I mean? It'll make a corner. Any ideas where I said this doesn't always work? Where might this not work? If one of them is missing, right? If one of the intercepts is missing. That's correct. It's exactly correct. So what kind of situations arise that have that? For me to have a vertical or a line here that doesn't hit the y-axis, it can't tip slightly at all. Because eventually, even if it slips just bare, tilts just slightly, we go far enough away from the x-intercept, it will hit the y. So the only way it's not going to hit the y-axis is if it's straight up and down. So a vertical line only has one intercept. Let's say it crosses at a comma 0. Any y works. So y isn't relevant to the equation. So the line is x equals a. And the only way to have one that crosses the y-axis but doesn't cross the x-axis is for it to be horizontal. So a horizontal line has only one intercept. And we like to use b for it since it's the y-intercept. So the line here is y equals b. This one is easiest to see from the slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b, but with no rise. The line isn't going up or down, m equals 0. Alright. No, couple people still running. Nice.
Share. That's.
I'm a big boy, I have to buy my own that one. I can just pull a Kirby move and just fucking, as soon as you open them, and it's just fucking too far. Alright, people look like they're done writing. We're gonna do this more in class, but let's touch on it now. I've told you that the equation for the slope is y2 minus y1 equals x2 minus x1. To use it, you need 2 points. Lines usually don't come as lines in real life. They come as data. You get data points. And you gotta make the line from the data points. So like, let's just take a look at picking, let's do one. Let's do two. We're gonna start off with doing 0, 0. And we'll go with -3. And number B, we will do 1, -2. And -4, 6. So it doesn't matter which one you pick to be 0.2 and which one you pick to be 0.1. Both ways will work. I'm going to illustrate this on this first one. I'm going to call that one 0.2 and call it, or 0.1 and call this 0.2. So this is like x1, y1, and x2, y2. You might find it takes a little bit more work to write the parentheses, but you won't fuck up any signs if you do. And you have to have the equation memorized. That's the only kicker here. But x1, y1 are the ones at the end, and they're both 0. And y2 is 5, it goes on top. And x2 is -3, it goes on bottom. So 5 minus 0 is 5. -3 minus 0 is -3. So this is -5/3.
Would the negative sign be on 3 or does it?
It was on 3 here, but in the end, it doesn't matter. Most people, usually we put it out front. Out front or on top is the most common spots for it. Usually out front, and the only time people really put it on top is because they don't want it to look like a fucking part of the fraction. When you're doing it by hand, you're writing it by hand, it's really easy. You have the negative right next to the fraction, and it looks like pin just popped for a second. Let's do the same thing. I'm going to switch it up though and call that 0.2 and call that 0.1. I think it's important to see how it works out. Now my zeros are over here. My 5 is there and my -3 is here. So 0 minus 5 is -5 on top. And I have -3 on bottom, which is +3. So we end up having -5 over 3 again. Why don't you guys try B? And then we'll do it together. There was gonna be a launch in 4 days, but it was canceled because of rain. The next launch in the vicinity is, well, wherever this is March 16th. What?
What's the event called?
It's Tripoli, tccrockets.com. Which stands for Tripoli, Central California, apparently. Just handy, the main website is tripoli.org. And it actually has, there's 3 levels of certification apparently, depending on how high powered rockets you want.
That's what we were thinking.
And so like learning about, going to this website, learning about it and stuff might be a precursor to what you're doing. I assume you're all gonna be here in fall, which means you don't need to get it done in by May.
Vance might not. That's, he's the one hanger on right there. If he's almost done. If he had on to another person.
But it doesn't matter, if he's not going too far away,
But I would go like,
if he's going to Fresno or something, you guys can still like. Cause Dale's located in Fresno, but I think this launch thing. Like the one I just looked at was on Cam. Which is like halfway between here and Fresno. You need a wide open area, so there's again nothing around, nothing dry.
I was almost gonna be taking stuff. Hours.
I bet there are rocket clubs down in Death Valley. Gotta look through the tripoli.org website for more info or stuff like that. Or maybe look up Tripoli Bakersfield, see if there's something down in that area that says it. All right, at this point here, who chose some points? Who picked, someone give me a 0.2 and a 0.1 out of these.
Top is 0.1, the bottom is 1.
Okay. Come on in. Water's warm. So Y2. Y2 is the 6. And Y1 is the -2. And, oh, that doesn't go there, that goes up here. X2 is -4 and X1 is 1. So I have 6 minus -2 is 6 plus 2. Oh, never, -4 minus 1, I've got 8 over -5. So -8 fifths. That's what you got, you did it right. And I will hit stop record.